Bigler Beats here, and today I'm going to be showing you something that isn't really talked about much. And if you go on YouTube, or really most people, I don't even think really think about it. But I'm all about melodies, so I just want to show you how I compress instruments that are more melodies. So today I have a piano riff here that I am going to show you how I compress it. And you can see the piano is pretty dynamic. You know, it's based off a grand piano. And if you look over at my actual piano roll here, you'd see my velocities. I played it, on the piano. So I actually did a little bit of, I went up here and I go to scale levels. And I did a little bit of scaling just to kind of get it within reason. Um, that's kind of in its way its own compression. But at the same time, I don't want to scale the sounds and make everything the same velocity to the point where it doesn't have any dynamics. So I guess what you have to understand is when you leave it dynamic like this, where there's dynamic character to the actual melody, the some levels aren't going to be as loud as others, which is fine, right? But um, when a listener's listening to it, it's preferable to have, if this is your main melody in the song, it's preferable, and you have a lot else going on, you want the person to hear it throughout. You want it to be consistent. So if you do want to get the levels up to where they need to be, in some of the softer sections, let's say, of the piano, but you want to keep the dynamic feel. So what I mean by dynamic feel is a lot of plugins like this grand piano, if you hit the velocity softer, it almost has a feel to it. It's softer. It's like a different sample almost. You get a feel from it. So, going over the piano roll here and just increasing the level takes the feel away. Let's say you want to keep the feel, right? But you want to get the levels to where they need to be. That's where it's perfect time to use compression. So what I'm going to do here is I have it already set up to go to mixer bus 1, if you look right here, the piano. So I set it to 1, and I am going to throw on here really any type of compressor. I'm trying to think what would maybe be best for you guys to see what I'm doing. Maybe I'll even use a compressor I never use. See, the fruity compressors, though, they don't really show you how much pullback they have on them. I'm just going to use a wave compressor because it's going to be easier for you guys to see what I'm talking about. I'm going to use the R compressor here, and it's a good visual for what I'm trying to talk about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it. And I'm going to look at the threshold first. I want to see where does the lowest levels hit. And I'm going to use that as a starting point to set my threshold. Because what a threshold is it's telling the compressor everything above this amount right here is going to be compressed in some way based off what you set the ratio. Anything below this number isn't going to be touched. So you're trying to affect everything above the minimum volume that you allow, and everything above that goes above this is going to be compressed by the ratio you choose. So if you pick 2 to 1, everything is going to be compressed 2 to 1 that goes over 17.2, negative 17.2. If you pick 3 to 1, it's going to compress it harder. If you pick 4 to 1, harder. For this piano, I'm going to start with 2. 2 is a good starting point for any compression. You can't really, it's not too much that it's going to affect it negatively as long as you don't bring the threshold too far down. So I'm going to play this and see what it sounds like. And this is a great visual. You can see what's affected. I like it to be affected so that the softest parts barely are touched. Yeah, the softest parts are barely touched. And the loudest parts are really the only ones that are being affected. Because you just want to get the levels down a little bit so it's more pleasant to the ear. And you can compress it as hard as you want. If you want to compress it down here and bring everything, you know, if you've got a lot going on in the mix and you need the piano to just be there, you know, but you want to keep some of the dynamic feel, like I said, then you compress, you bring the threshold down to the absolute minimum where it's registering. You know what I'm saying? Like all the way down that you can. And then you compress it maybe harder, like 4-to-1. Maybe you need that piano to come through the mix hard. And I mean, this is heavy compression. This is like, I want to put a piano in a dance track and it needs to be in your face. If you're going for like a ballad song, I would back completely off, go to 2-to-1, probably bring this to about -16, and you're going to see a lot lighter compression out of it. So it depends what kind of music you're going for. If you're going for something softer, and no one's even going to know that you use compression if you do this last technique I used where you're just barely affecting it, 2-to-1 ratio. And this would be good for a softer song where the piano is dominant in front. Really, there aren't as many instruments in the mix. If you're doing EDM or like, you know, more in your face type music, then heavier compression is going to get that sound to come through the mix, and you'll be able to keep a little bit of the dynamic feel as much as you possibly can, because you're allowing in the piano roll over here to be some dynamics. So the plugin itself is going to be replicating whatever velocity you're hitting, and you're going to just be compressing the actual overall loudness of the sound. So you still will have some feel. And you know, you just need to understand the difference between that. You can better compress your audio so you can get certain instruments and sounds coming through the mix better, and I guess really using the compressor to your advantage to get the results that you need for whatever type of music you're making. Bigler Beats here. Just want to do a short video on compression of melodies. This is very general. I'll probably have some more specific ones. You know, if you guys want something specific, just send me a message, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Till next time.